It's brutal out here, man.
I really want to go home tonight, so I gave him 20
Believe that's correct.
I'll now call to order this meeting of the City of White House Council for today, June the 27th, 2023. The time is now 6 p.m. Ms. Hargis, will you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. James Wansley.
Here.
Zach Briscoe.
Here.
Georgia Harris. Here. John Chambers.
Here.
Michael Lowe.
Here.
And Heath Rosenstein.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Full class. Thank you very much. Will you please stand if you're able and join Mr. Tony Brown as he leads us in a word of prayer. Please come up to the podium, Mr. Brown.
Thank y'all. Bow in prayer, please. Good evening, Lord. Thank you so much for the majestic day that you painted today. Thank you that you allowed us to be here to see your handiwork. We come before you in humble praise at your glory and might. We pray that you would be instrumental in our meeting tonight and just receive glory from everything that happens. We thank you so much for the people in this room that have given time not only to their family and to their occupations, but to our city and all their different occupations and services. Thank you for everyone and what they do. We give you all the praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. Brown. Please remain standing as the council leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Texas flag? Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Please be seated. Thank you very much. Great to hear so many voices tonight. All right, that takes us to presentations. We're none is our presentation. Then we're going down to item E on the agenda, which is matters of community interest. Mrs. Black.
Mayor and council, as you all are aware, sidewalk improvements continue along Highway 110 between Acre and 346. I did see crews out working past dark yesterday, either to beat the heat or to minimize the impact to those businesses. So if drivers would please remain aware, be careful in driving through that area. Filing for the election begins July 22nd and will continue through August 21st, and places 1, 3, and 5 will be up in November. And the Youth Community Council will host a July 4th celebration event at the Veterans Memorial. The bricks have been installed, and so they're excited to show off the work of that. They've done a great job since the Youth Community Council's inception in 2021 and getting that project going and complete. So we hope everybody can join us. That will be at 9 a.m. at the Veterans Memorial.
And I'll add to that the Youth Community Council item. If you've gone to the memorial and you don't see the brick that you purchased, there are still 20 some odd bricks that are due to be laid. The person that laid the bricks initially had surgery, so they are hunting for someone to do that. And I think that they sent out somebody to scout it today to get a quote on what that would be. But there should be more bricks out there. So, yeah, if you have any questions about, just to make sure your brick got ordered, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to the Youth Community Council and just to verify that. But if you went through the online form, it's in there. If you went through some other mechanism, you might want to double check. All right, anything else on the matter of community interest?
Just want to I think we can do this, give a thank you for all the linemen, all the electric people working the lines. I mean, in this brutal heat, we depend upon electricity much more than, say, 1964. I'm that age. Just a thank you to them and all the firemen with a bunker coat on. Can you imagine? Been there. The police with all their vest on and all their gear. Thank you so very much for, hanging in there and blessing our community. Thank you.
Thank you for those recognitions. Anything else from council? All right, that takes us down to public forum. I don't see any sign-ups for public forum. Is that correct, Ms. Hargis?
That is correct.
All right, that takes us to the consent agenda. There's only one item on the consent agenda for your consideration today, and that's the meeting minutes from the City Council meeting held on June the 13th, 2023. So if there's nothing as part of that agenda that you'd like to move on to the regular meeting, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion from Councilwoman Harris. Her second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Briscoe. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, with that, that motion carries. The consent agenda is approved. Takes us down to item H, other action items, ordinances, resolutions, and public hearings. Number 1 is a public hearing, discussion, consideration, and action on a rezoning request for a A.98 plus minus acre tract of land located at 310, 312, 316 Bascom Road under the Guitteriez survey, A0364 Smith County, Texas, from commercial low density CL to residential low density RL. And this will be a public hearing, and I will go ahead and end the regular council meeting and start the public hearing.
Do you want to do that, or do you want background information first? Totally up to you.
Before or after?
Background would be great.
Yeah, before is good.
Okay. All right, so, Mayor and Council, before you tonight is a request, from the property owners of 310, 312, and 316 Bascom Road to change the zoning, of the property to residential low density from commercial low density. These properties were rezoned with the passage of ordinance 090428-02, adopting the Vision 2020 Comprehensive Plan. I can only assume the thought at the time was that this area would change from residential use to low commercial use, such as professional offices, restaurants, or light retail. With the zoning change, it was not required that the properties be brought up to commercial use, so the residential homes became legal non-conforming use and can remain residential use until such time as that changes over to commercial. Once that happens, they cannot go back to residential. And these properties have never changed in use. Restoration of a legal non-conforming use is not allowed if the destruction of the building is 50% or more. This is a sticking point for lenders, and buyers are finding it difficult or impossible to get residential home mortgages. This has prevented the sale of the property at 310. The owner of 310 initially requested the zoning change for his property alone. In order for property to be rezoned to another zoning, it can't be substantially different from the surrounding zonings. The properties around just 310 are all C-L, the commercial low. So the owner spoke with the owners of 312 and 316 who were willing to join him in the request. Doing this, the properties now have residential low zoning abutting the subject properties, which is up north there, the yellow. In your packet, I've included the dimensional requirements of both zonings for your review. I've received inquiries from the notices mailed and posted. All were for information regarding the change, but only one gave an opinion for or against, and I've included that for you tonight. I do anticipate that we'll have some here tonight who would like to speak during the public hearing, and tonight is the second public hearing. The first was held last week at the P&Z meeting, where 5 of the 7 commissioners were present and all voted to recommend the zoning change to you guys. Staff is seeking action on this item tonight. And I know that Kayla Brown is here for the agent, or as the agent of the owner of 310, and I believe I saw someone else here, another property owner as well. So I'm assuming they will want to speak.
All right.
This is on Bascom.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why it's labeled middle school, that's actually Higgins.
Yeah, that's
That's a-
I'm wondering,
Math.
okay.
K through 5 school.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
All right. If there's nothing else to add at this point, we can go ahead and enter to our public hearing. Time is 6:08. We'll suspend the regular council meeting and enter public hearing. All right, at this time, if you would like to speak on this matter, please approach, state your name and your address for the record, and let us know what you think.
Thank you. My name is Brad Hanson, and I live at 312 Bascom. First thing, I'd like to thank you guys for your service. Appreciate what y'all do. I just want to bring to your attention that at 316, there's marijuana-themed graffiti on the walls. Talking about 420, and I don't know what else. I don't pay much attention, but it's on there, and it's going to be on there. And I imagine if it's removed, it'll be put back on there as long as the house sits vacant. It's been vacant at least 18 months that I know about. And the folks at 312 are out of there. The gentleman at 316 assures me that he's trying to bring it up to rentable condition. And so really right now the highest and best use of those 2 properties is rental. And it's right there beside a school. So I think that the city would probably prefer, and I'm sure the school would probably prefer that it be owner occupied. But that's not possible unless you get a cash buyer, because the banks won't loan money under the current zoning scheme. So I think that if y'all change the zoning, you probably see the houses sell, they'd be owner occupied, and then you'd be more likely to see 316 come back into sort of normal compliance with the rest of the neighborhood. I sure do appreciate y'all's time. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Caleb Brown. I live at 310 Bascom. I'm the agent speaking on behalf of Mr. Adam Brown. Before I go into anything about the property of the residents, I just want to start by saying he is out of town right now, actually in Scotland, on a vacation he had booked several months ago, and due to ticketing and other issues, he was not able to move that trip to be a part of this meeting. However, that does not undervalue its importance to him, which is why I'm here speaking on his behalf. So to start out, I've lived in that house almost my whole life. We moved there when I was about 4 years old, and I recently graduated high school here in White House, not this year, but last year, and my family just moved out of that house within the last few months. Now, the issue that we've had when it comes to selling the property is the fact that it's zoned at commercial, but not just regular commercial or another commercial value, but at commercial low. So we've had it listed both residential and commercial. But you can see here in the highlighted portion, that is what is approved to be built at a commercial low property, and it's incredibly restricted. So we haven't had any actual offers for a commercial buyer to put any kind of business on that property. And on top of that, a cash buyer would be the only way to sell it to someone who wants it as a residence, because, as was previously mentioned, if there's 50% or more damage to the property, it can't be rebuilt as a residence. So with all of that said, it simply makes sense, to me at least, to rezone it to a residential property for the reasons both I've said and the previous gentleman mentioned, in that it needs to be a residential property, and as a commercial property, one, it's not selling that way, and two, it's probably not going to be built that way because, again, as was previously mentioned, nobody, especially not people that attend school or parents of children at the local school, Higgins Elementary, want to have businesses around that school. So with that said, I would like to request that that be rezoned to residential low so that we can sell our home. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? Oh, yes, sir.
Larry Ogenmiller at 402 Aubrey Street. 10 foot of my property line, I share with C316. So I have a vested interest in it being residential. Okay. And so I support the application. But in the first meeting, I noticed on the drawing on the map, you got different colors. You got yellows and pinks, and all the pinks are commercial. And it's totally residential, has been for the 57 years I've lived in that same location. Why did it ever wind up commercial? I guess my thing is I would like to request that you people, through planning and zoning, whoever, take a look, because of the same reasons that we have these 3 lots. The rest of the property that fronts on Bascom, that is residential now, why is it not zoned? It should be residential. If they sell, they're gonna have the same problems these people are having. So it's just gonna be a repeat up and down the street as time goes on. And I guess that's it. I'd just like to see some action taken if possible. I know it's gonna be a lot of work, because it's a lot of individual lots and be some pretty severe hearings, I would think.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Would anybody else like to speak? Going once? Going twice. With that, the time is now 6:14, and we will end this public hearing. return to the regular council meeting. Any further discussion from council on this matter?
Yeah, so across the street from those properties, you're looking at 313, 309, all those are what zones? I don't see the letters. C-L, it looks like, C-L, okay.
And that was all done at the same time this was in 2009 for reasons we don't really quite understand.
Yes, it was rezoned when they adopted the Vision 2020.
Vision 2020.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's the
what
comprehensive plan,
For our city,
yes.
prior to us.
Yeah, it was a while ago. And the vision that was in there, I suppose, was that eventually this would become another commercial strip
Right.
in the city. Commercial low seems, I mean, there's a lot of traffic there, so maybe commercial low is the best use around residences is why they did it, but
Typically, yes, that's what you see
Yeah.
around residential.
it just doesn't seem to be happening.
But if the people across the street wanted to do what we're doing tonight, it would actually start with action from them and not something we could do here. Is that correct?
We could not do anything tonight, no.
So the Planning and Zoning Commission could proactively look at rezoning that property. Because if one of those individual, similar to what we have here, if one of those individual property owners wanted to change, they probably could because there's residential to the rear of their property, it's just off the screen here. But it would be easier to do that as a section, as a whole, so we can certainly start looking at, we're aware of some areas that may need to be looked at and reviewed, and so we can, as time allows, start working through some of those issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I see the left side, I see that being commercial, that would be okay, right? But why would they zone it on the right side where the school is?
I mean, for the same reason.
Right, but that
I'm
would make no
assuming that
sense.
just because we don't have access to that, or I don't know what was in their vision, I'm assuming they had a thought in a vision. I don't know what it was.
And that school was always there,
Yeah,
I guess?
that
Okay.
school's been there,
It's been there since 1989 or 90.
Been a staple.
yeah.
One thing that I can see is Bascom Road is more of a collector or arterial road, and the other roads where the residential is, those are residential streets.
Sure.
So I'm assuming that would be why they left what you see in yellow, yellow, and changed the pinks because of the type of road that Bascom Road
That was
is.
on, yeah.
Yeah, so for the purposes of this rezoning, I think it's a good idea to recommend an item for P and Z to consider the zoning on those. And the matter before us is the zoning on these particular properties as well.
Okay.
You wanna recommend that though? On the other side?
Recommend the
I
P and
don't-
Z.
Yeah, I don't, no. 'Cause if we rezone the entire left side, then there's no way to get that back. What if our city just booms and grows, and that's a great street. Bascom is busy, goes up and down, cut through. I mean, that's businesses, that's tax that come in. I mean, we're here for the other side, which is great, but I don't, currently at least, I don't see why we should recommend the other side right now.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a rubber stamp, it would just be something to look at.
And it would
But
be,
anyway.
it'd be somewhat of a case-by-case basis, because the property owners may wanna, keep what they have, the way the zoning's in for the future.
But currently, yeah, I would agree with, rezoning it. On the current request.
All right, well, if there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the rezoning request for this specific tract of land on 310, 312, and 360 Bascom Roads from commercial low density to residential low density. What, do I need to say more?
No, I'm glad you're reading it, not me. Go ahead.
I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Can we do a roll call on this, Ms. Hargis?
Keith Rosenstein,
Yes.
Zach Briscoe,
Yes.
Georgia Harris,
Yes.
Michael Lowe,
Yes.
and John Chambers.
Yes.
All right, with that, the zoning passes. Congratulations to those of you in attendance. Yes, hold your applause to the end. There's so much more stuff.
Just wait.
All right, that takes us to item H2, discussion, consideration, and action on police department compensation. Mrs. Black, take it away, please.
Mayor and council, as you all know, for several years, we've been talking about police department recruitment and retention, along with every other public agency in the United States. And we continue to face challenges in both recruitment and retention. I will say that the officers that are here tonight and that serve our community every day, I would put up against any of the rest in our country. They do a great job of serving our citizens and our community. As you all know, in looking at the 2023-2024 fiscal year budget, we always start with our people first. And that's no different this year. We were looking at doing significant raises, particularly in our law enforcement departments, on average about 19 or 20%, in order to keep up with our surrounding agencies. We feel like providing those raises is imperative to make sure that we are staying competitive. On the left here, I have our current step plan for our officers, our 1 corporal position, and our sergeant positions, and then what we are proposing. This is the same that I was going to propose to take effect October 1st. However, every public agency in the state will be making their changes effective October 1st, and I think we may be able to get a little bit ahead of the game if we were to enact that now. Particularly, we are in desperate need of recruiting an additional school resource officer, and that has a timeline that is prior to October 1st. So that adds a little bit of urgency to this request on my part. As you can see here, we are talking about not quite a $10,000 raise for a starting police officer. I sent earlier this week the benchmark kind of data from some other cities, and this will keep us in a competitive position. I will not tell you this is going to solve the recruitment and retention issue for law enforcement, particularly for our agency. We are going to continue to face that along with everyone else. There simply aren't enough people going into the profession. But this will help. I will say, Chief Robeson and I were talking earlier today, there's a particular focus in making sure that we are retaining our tenured officers and making sure that we show our appreciation for them staying with our department. And so we are highly competitive on that tenured experience for those salaries because the cost to replace them is significantly greater than paying them appropriately. So with that, staff is recommending approving the proposed salary schedule that you see here to begin with the pay period starting July 6th rather than waiting until October 1st. We feel like the vacancies that we've had in our department throughout the year, the salary savings from that would have no impact to our current budget. And so we can do that without amending the budget in the current fiscal year.
So is this standard? Like the 55,000, is that standard across the board? Is that what we're doing?
I'm not
Because
sure.
right now we're raising it, right?
Right.
Raising it. Is that uniform across other counties? Are we
Right,
a little
Smith
bit
County right
higher?
now is about 55,000. I sent a list earlier that showed what other cities are paying. It's pretty close. I mean, they range anywhere from, I think Troop October 1st is gonna go from about 44 to 45,000, up from where they are now, and it goes up, the city of Tyler is at 62.
62.
So
That puts
how-
us in the middle,
How many officers do we have total, payroll?
17 sworn positions.
Currently 17.
17?
That's right.
So if we bumped it up an extra 10, that'd be what, 170,000 more?
No,
Annually?
because you're talking about just starting officer pay. We have officers that
Sergeants.
range from so anytime you bump that scale up, it bumps everyone else up significantly more as well.
It's by
So-
percentage then?
Yes.
Okay. So is there any way we
300
can?
grand.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
one
I was
is
gonna say, I thought it was
300,000
Because what I'm
for
hearing,
this.
is that replacing officers is a lot more. It's hard to find good talent.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it as though if we're paying more up front to retain, and the word on the street is, hey, White House, they're paying a good amount of money for officers. That's great. Hey, yeah, we're paying a little bit more up front, but to replace it, what we're hearing, that's gonna kill us. I'm just saying, if we have it, let's do it. Let's increase it some more.
Yeah, like, she's increasing it, like, she has on here
I
the
get
graph
it.
of the up to 10 years,
I get it,
so.
which is great, but starting pay as well? If the city of Tyler is 62 right now to start, They're bigger, but they're not better than
Yeah,
us.
she's moving the starting from 46 to
Yeah, I get it,
55.
right,
Yeah.
right.
I would like to know something. How many officers approximately have we lost in the last, say, 5 years to Tyler PD?
I can only speak for the last 3.5 years I've been here.
What do you think that is?
We've lost one.
Okay,
And we got one, he came from Tyler.
yeah, right. I
So
know.
it canceled.
But we're in a unique position in that a officer can transition to Tyler pretty easily. So I am 100% for this, and gosh, the complexity of law enforcement in the last 20 years have just gone up exponentially. Unbelievable amount of training. You know, I mean, I ride with Smith County, you know, and these guys are busy 18,000 things at one time. And I have high respect, and I'm gonna stand by them 100%.
100%.
So my thought when I was reviewing and doing the research on it, that this is basically a great first step in the right direction, and and it's something that needs to be looked at annually and adjusted accordingly.
And we do, since
Yeah.
2019, our starting officer pay has gone from 39,000 to now what will be 55,000. So we take a look at this. This is the first thing we do every budget year, is take a look at compensation.
Good.
So,
Yeah, I think it's a great distribution of funds as we grow. You know, the amount of money that we bring in and it goes into law enforcement is,
For the record, though, I like it, but I wish it was more. I wish we could do more.
Yeah.
so what would you say the average percentage increase was, just kind of categorically? I know that's kind of
20%.
like 20%. And that 20% represents 300,000, so there's an equation there. If you go up another 5%, that gets you up to 400,000, 360,000.
The equipment that we got, Chief, now is we have good equipment, don't we? Are we needing, we don't, our cars are good quality now, and the guys have got the right equipment, don't they? That's not an issue.
Doesn't matter about equipment,
Oh,
though,
I
if we don't
know.
have the people.
Oh, I know,
We don't
I
have
agree,
quality people.
I agree, but just wanna make sure.
We evaluate that constantly.
Yeah,
and
good.
We're in good shape.
Okay.
But we're still down 1.5, 2.5 officers. We're still on the road. What are we down?
We have 14 currently. And so as of now, today, we have 17 allotted. We're adding an additional SRO to make us 18.
Okay.
So we have 14 currently.
4 opens. 4 open spots.
There will be.
Right. Perfect. Okay.
This will help greatly, won't it? It'll help.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, there's no doubt in that. And
So how fast do you think this would help then on obtaining an employee? Now, say we're raising this up, we're gonna do this by July. It's 55,000 for a starting officer. That hits the street, you think we'll get applications? If we, how fast will we see if this works? Is it a month applications?
Not to throw you off, it's hard to predict because what we generally attract are people who are certified and who have been working somewhere for maybe a couple of years and they want to move here. Or maybe some guys that are at the end of their career and they want to maybe transition to a department that doesn't have as much crime and is just not as involved in those types of things. So it's not like somebody that's at the county or Tyler or somebody that's been there 10 years is suddenly going to go, hey, I want to come there. I don't know that.
and law enforcement recruitment, that issue is bigger than just pay.
Yeah.
Pay is a
It's hard.
very small part of officer recruitment, but it's a part that we can control. I can't control how many people are going in the law enforcement field. We can only control what we pay them, what their benefits are, and what our culture is
Exactly.
like when
And
we're
if
here.
we're the top of the top,
So
we
I will
are-
tell
we are
you,
the top.
even Tyler, who's probably the highest paid in our region, is
Absolutely.
struggling with the same thing. Pay is not the
It's-
answer.
it's nationwide,
Pay is a portion
everywhere.
of what we can control. And I cannot tell you that we will recruit any faster at Tyler's pay scale than we will our own.
Is there
But you can't say
anything
we won't
else
either.
that we might need?
50-50.
Sign-on bonuses or anything?
My personal opinion on sign-on bonuses,
Don't
they
like
don't work. I've
Okay.
seen them all over the country and they're
Okay.
still struggling. That's a temporary, very, very temporary fix of maybe a year or two, people move to the next spot.
Okay.
I think the easiest way to really try to give a good answer to that. The question is, we're trying to do everything we can to get people hired. And this is another step to try to accomplish that. My dream would be I'd get 12 applications as soon as I put it out. That would be awesome. I just don't know. Because getting a job and applying for a job, whether it's police or whatever, there's a lot more into it than that. It's more complicated than that. So this is a step in the right direction. And where we're at is not really working very well.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get people at where we're at. Right now.
Absolutely agree. Yeah.
So we have other things surrounding this. We have some quality of life things that go into that position. We have a great benefit package. We have opportunities for officers to take their cars home as a part of that. New cars that we get through our rental car agreement, our fleet management. So it's more than just a dollar value, but we're coupling that dollar value with some of those quality of life things they won't find in other departments, which isn't kind of shown here. It's just costs that we absorb outside of that number.
Well, I want good quality officers and I wanna pay them a fair salary. That's what I want. I want a good salary for them. When I'm sleeping at night, I wanna be comfortable and knowing that I did my best to help our city in this regard, so.
Then can we put this back to revisit in October after we approve this? I wanna see kind of what our results are. If we got any more applications, we put this on a line item.
We will put it probably for the July discussion because you have to adopt your budget middle of August, so.
Oh, the July meeting?
Well, whatever we got, I'm just saying after we get it approved, after it gets implemented, I'd like to revisit it again.
All right. Any further discussion on what's presented here?
I'm glad to see the progress here. I'll be glad to make the motion if ready for one.
I don't hear any further discussion.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'll make the motion to authorize the city manager to implement updated compensation plans for the police department.
Second.
All right, a motion from Councilman Briscoe, second from Councilwoman Harris. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. With that, the motion carries. All right. So this takes us to more budget stuff. We're gonna discuss the fiscal year 2023-24 budget and tax rate. Spoiler, health insurance and ARPA fund.
Exciting.
Yeah, let's do it. Mrs. Black.
So Mayor and Council, if you remember when we discussed the general fund several meetings ago, one of the things that we were waiting on was our health insurance rate changes. We have received those and anticipate a 14% increase in our health insurance premiums. I will tell you that our cities surrounding us, those that we've heard from, had significantly higher increases. One as high as 40 some odd % to their health insurance premiums. I think Troop I think they received a 25% increase in their premiums. So we all have the same health insurance provider, and so it's based on your costs for the prior year, and so we're feeling a little fortunate to only have it at 14%. To go into a little bit more detail on that, we have a great health insurance plan for our employees. So we have a $500 deductible for individual, $1,000 for family, and the city pays 25% of the employee's dependent coverage. So we definitely have one of the better health insurance plans in East Texas for municipal employees. So we're very proud of that, and we're proud of the work that our employees do to keep those costs under control, to keep those premium increases relatively small. Any of you that have dealt with health insurance increases over the last couple of years understand what COVID has done to that and why those premiums are increasing so rapidly. So that's all I have for general fund stuff. On the American Rescue Plan Act funds, as you all know, we have a little bit of urgency to allocate those funds based on the discussion at the last meeting. We've provided a line item budget in your packet, but this is kind of an overview of how we've allocated those funds based on that conversation at the last meeting. So this is just an update to that and kind of what we anticipate in the next fiscal year. I will say we may have some expenses related to these items in the current fiscal year, and if we do, we'll put that as part of our budget amendment before we get to October 1st. So, but other than that, that's all I have for you on budget tonight. We'll have quite a bit more at the next meeting. We may do another look at some of those funds we've already discussed, because that mid-August deadline for your budget adoption will be here before we know it.
Okay. Tax rate was part of the line item. Is there any
I don't have any
change on
additional
that? Okay.
information. We anticipate receiving certified rolls from the appraisal district on July 25th. So we will have a lot of tax rate discussion at that first meeting in August. As soon as we get
Alrighty.
those rates calculated.
Sounds great. Thank you for the update. Anything from councilors? All right.
Oh, minor question, but I see on there, the refurbish the fields and ballpark parking. I assume that all that's for the baseball fields down here?
Yes.
So one of the only questions, if you've actually had kids play out there, is the cover for those two fields that are butted up to each other. Cause you take like foul balls in the back of the head. So have we specifically talked about, putting covers on those three fields, down at the back?
So we have not. The rec, as you all know, manages our recreation activities out there, and they actually receive donations for the covers that are there and are still seeking donations for additional covers. So we
Is
can
that
put
a
that under.
possible allocation?
It is. We can put that under other park improvements, or we could designate it from the general fund or somewhere else if we'd like to. So.
Having watched baseballs come inches from hitting kids playing in the bleachers, it could potentially be a concern for someone to get hurt, and so I just think that would
We'll
be
take
a,
look at that.
Do those covers provide shade as well?
Blessed
do.
shade.
they do, but
I wasn't sure if it went to control the ball or if it went out onto the.
we literally
It's nice.
we put tents over the stand and like stand them up just so you can watch the field this way and not get hit in the back. So it happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
All right. Anything else on this item? All right, here now we're going to move down to item H4, the 2023 legislative session update. The session has adjourned almost. What you got for us, Mrs. Black?
So Mayor and Council, as you know, the session is still going, almost adjourned. So we will do our best to provide a general overview of the things that happened during this current legislative session. I will say it is all very fresh and new. There are tons of attorneys that are still coming through all of it and letting us know what it all means and what the implications are. So I'll do my best to go through this with the understanding that I don't have all the answers and that we'll continue to work through it as best we can. So I will say for the state legislature, they were a little kinder to cities than they have been in years past. Their focus was largely elsewhere this legislative session. The biggest kind of bill that's probably going to have wide sweeping, far-reaching implications for municipal governments is House Bill 2127, which is kind of known as the super preemption bill.
The Death Star bill, right?
The Death Star bill.
Yeah.
So, as you all know, there are two different kinds of cities. There are home rule cities and general law cities. In the past, home rule cities could enact any kind of legislation and regulation that was not expressly prohibited by state law. This preemption bill significantly reduces the power of home rule cities to do so. So, with that, there is a lot of vague language in this bill, and even the TML attorneys who follow this legislation very closely aren't quite sure what the implications will be for us. So we will follow this closely. I'm sure they will be putting out a lot more information in the coming months. A lot of it appears that it will be left up to litigation in the future, and so we will follow those cases and do our best. The only good news on this is that if anyone is to file suit, they have to give 3 months notice before they can do so, so that gives you time to confer with your attorney and TML attorneys to either repeal, amend, or enact new legislation that would be in compliance with whatever this law means. It's basically the advice from TML at this point. So we'll continue to watch that and keep an eye on what that means for us going forward.
I think on that one I saw that it was limited to certain categories, right?
It is, so particular codes that are in state statute is, I'm
Yeah.
guessing what you're referring to.
Agriculture, business and
Right.
commerce, finance, like. it's not as wide, I mean, people read that it's kind of wide sweeping and it's not, it is limited in somewhat, but some of those are kind of broad.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be interested to see what comes out of that. So it's not that we just throw out our ordinances, I mean.
No,
It's,
yeah.
cause that's how people read it. It's like, well, if it's not in state code, why bother have a code of ordinances? So,
Yeah, it's limited to specific statutes and codes under state law. But if you've read those codes, they're this thick, so understanding exactly what that means, what you can and cannot do, it's just gonna take some time to
Yeah.
figure out.
TML will do a great job.
They will do a phenomenal job, so. We will be in close contact with them as other cities start finding out exactly what House Bill 2127.
And those lawsuits will they'll come from individuals or from the state?
They will either come from individuals or municipalities, so
Okay.
most likely it'll be individuals suing a municipality for something that they feel like violates the provisions under House Bill 2127.
I got you.
There is the potential for cities, if they wanted to join together or individually sue the state, stating that this is an unconstitutional provision and that they do not have the authority to enact this against cities and prohibit what they want to enact. So it could either come from cities against the state or individuals against cities.
But not so much the state saying, hey, we passed this legislation and you still have this in your ordinance, like a lawsuit
I
going
would
that direction.
anticipate that.
Okay.
I guess
Things
it
get
could
weird.
happen. I guess
Yeah.
the AG could file against a city, but that's pretty rare.
It's probably not gonna be us, but yeah. It'll be one of the bigger ones that they don't like.
House Bill 3699 actually did some good things. If you'll remember, several years ago, the state legislature enacted what they called the 30-day shot clock for platting changes. This was found to be largely impossible due to regulations and requirements for plat changes. So in order to get a planning and zoning committee meeting and a city council meeting in within 30 days from it being filed, when you have requirements of it being published so far ahead of those meetings. So this removes the 30-day shot clock and allows city submittal calendars, which we have used for quite some time. So that's good news. The one thing it does do is prohibit a city or planning and zoning from requiring an analysis, study, document, agreement, or similar requirement as a part of a plat application, development permit, et cetera, if it's not explicitly allowed by state law. So in some areas, you may want to see a traffic study before you allow development. Well, if a traffic study isn't explicitly allowed, you could no longer do that. I don't know if a traffic study is or isn't. I'll have to do some research, but that was just the thing that came to mind first, so. And I'm not gonna go through all of these because there are a whole lot of them. I will say on property tax, most of the changes to property tax regulations were aimed at appraisal districts or school districts. And so there aren't too many harmful implications for cities when it comes to property tax. They did a lot of looking at homestead exemptions and those types of things. But for us, you know, homestead exemptions are calculated first in the property tax process, so it's income that's never realized, or it's nothing that we're gonna lose as a part of those changes, so we're in good shape there. It's just something that will never be a part of our calculation from the beginning.
SB 2289 seems pretty impactful for cities like Tyler that have a large medical presence.
It is, yes, so,
Fixing to have even a bigger one.
which if they're, it may depend if they're set up as a nonprofit anyway, so they may have not.
Yeah, one of the hospitals is, the other one's not, and the university will be nonprofits, that wouldn't be a tax entity, but they have a very large for-profit medical center there that's gonna disappear from their tax rolls.
I'll need to look at Senate Bill 1998 as we head into July and August and start doing our tax rate calculations. I need to see what those worksheet changes are and if they'll take effect this year or next, but we'll keep an eye on that one. I do know that the state comptroller had not yet released tax rate calculation forms pending what came out of legislation, so hopefully they'll get those out. For my estimates and for our budget purposes, I've been using last year's rate calculation sheet. It largely has to do with unused increment and how that's accounted for, which we have not been using over the last several years, so I don't think we'll have any impact on that. On this particular slide, House Bill 1922 requires a 10-year review of city building permit fees. We need to be looking at our city building permit fees. I'm not sure when the last time they were updated was, but that's just something that we'll need to keep on a calendar going forward to making sure that we're looking at that at least every 10 years. The other things on this slide are minor, not a significant impact. I'm not gonna go through the next 3 slides, but there are 3 slides worth of legislation that will impact public safety. They were hit particularly hard this year. A lot of it has to do with school safety and then reporting requirements for missing persons or child-related offenses. So again, our police department will be working with their professional organizations as well as TML to make sure that we get that implemented. In my mind, the most significant burden to our public safety departments is there are some pretty strict timelines on reporting requirements in certain instances, so making sure that we're following that and getting that documentation submitted in a timely manner will be the biggest burden, I think, for our police department. But again, we're still looking through all of this and working through what the implications will be. So, a couple of personnel things that will impact public employment, paid illness and injury leave for first responders for a year. We're working with our workers' comp organization to figure out what those implications will be to us. And then a few other things that are in there that hopefully won't have too much of an impact on us.
Can you go back one? The maximum hiring age for an officer was below 45?
For civil service, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Takes a lot of physical stamina.
Yeah, but there's some
Yeah, but
45-year-olds out there that can handle it.
That's
you know?
correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Other city administration legislation. Probably the most popular one is Senate Bill 1893, the TikTok ban on city devices. We'll be making sure we update our personnel policy to include that, just to make sure that we're compliant.
Y'all have to use some other form of communication from Mrs. Black. You can't go through TikTok.
That's right.
I just learned about it.
Stop
too.
sending
Dang
me
it.
your TikTok video.
That's heartbreaking.
Right.
And that's all I have.
So, of note, the destination sales tax thing that we were kind of watching closely didn't make it.
Yep.
Yeah, that was kind of shocking. We benefit greatly from Amazon. Any place that's a marketplace that's shipped to White House, we get the sales tax collection on that. It was going to change to anything, like you go to order a computer on Dell, if it gets delivered here. But the state faced a lot of backlash and litigation over that, so they're going to kick it down the road a little bit.
Yeah, I was happy to hear on, we're talking about state, county, city, jury pay's going up September
Yeah,
first.
$20, right?
Yep, from 6 to 20.
And vehicle inspection is gone, right? Did I hear that right?
Yes.
That's affirmative, yes, but not the fee.
Commercial vehicles still need, Gene was really excited about that.
Wait, what? No residential inspections for vehicles?
No inspections for your vehicles, yeah.
They're putting it
There's
on
still
the
a fee.
officers to pull you over if
Yeah.
your
The
vehicle
fee still
doesn't appear to
stands,
be
but no
passing
more
inspection.
physical, taking the car in and getting,
You get an inspection, oh.
Yeah, you just register,
Huh.
up your registration.
Texas is leading the way.
You just get a ticket every once in a while for a broken taillight or bald tires.
Right? It's kind of like Florida. Florida does that too. The other thing that they passed that probably is not a good thing, abolishment of Galveston treasurer, so when it hits the ballot coming up, vote no for it. We do not want to
Galveston
lose
treasurer?
the treasurer in Galveston County.
Are you talking about pirate treasure?
Talking about the county treasurer?
Oh, treasurer.
Treasurer?
Okay,
Yeah, it was a big thing.
okay.
It's a big
I
thing.
don't think
Anyways,
we'll be voting on that one.
vote no.
Okay.
Citizens, vote no. It's bad.
All right, anything else on the matter of legislative session update from council? All right, that takes us down to number 5, consider future agenda items. You got the budget?
More
Shocking.
budget, tax
Shocking.
rate.
Budget.
Yeah, budget and tax rate, good.
How's, for considering agenda items, how are we doing with, I don't know, high-speed internet company called Frontier? Like, can we get updates on how they're implementing their stuff, please?
Yeah, I don't have anything new to report other than they indicated they would be back in quarter 3 or 4 of this year, so,
Which is next week.
yeah, but,
That's pretty close.
yeah.
We're open for business. I mean, we don't have to stop at one fiber provider. And as a city, I think we'll move forward in providing as many options as we can to our citizens.
Is there possibly one other coming? No news on it.
Not that I'm,
Not definitive news, but there's a lot of,
nothing that I can share, I don't think, so.
So is it fair to say that Frontier has stalled?
That's what I was,
So they put their construction on hold,
Okay.
given things that were happening with the economy until quarter 3 or 4 is my last indication.
So if you consider a complete lack of progress stalling,
I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the correct term. If they're not operating anything right now, but they are saying they are coming back, I'm just saying that's a stall.
it is, yeah.
yeah.
I think it's a pause, is how they're categorized.
Pause.
Did, future agenda item possibly, did, staff that you were gonna have look at, what's that road called? Hagen, is it Hagen Road? The lighting, the stripping on it?
Yeah, we're still working on
We're still working on that, okay.
I have an idea. We hold our veterans in high esteem. I had an idea the other day. We don't have a per se street in the city named Veterans Boulevard or Veterans Street or Avenue. It would be neat to have a street named after our veterans. Maybe a present street renamed, or a future street named in honor of the veterans.
Yeah, it's a
I
good
think
agenda item.
I thought about that, I just thought it'd be a good attribute.
So streets are typically named by the developers that put them in, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, maybe an existing street, again, in honor of those who gave their all. It's just an idea. Cause I looked, I said, I don't think we've got a street named Veterans Boulevard or Veterans Highway or something.
You'd like to see that on the agenda?
I'd like to,
We probably need to talk about a discussion on it.
Okay,
just as discussion, I think it'd be a good thing, so,
gotcha.
thank you.
Hey, a question about the sidewalks. When they're almost done with that one whole side, are they doing the whole other side too to parallel? Okay, I wasn't completely sure.
And they're replacing that entire sidewalk, correct? That they're doing right now? It's gonna be all new? Cause I'm seeing patches, like they're skipping some patches.
I have to go back and look at the plans, I don't know.
I mean, I would think they're not gonna leave any old.
Yeah, there was a part that was broken and
Right,
overlapped.
yeah, that's
and
what I'm
they're-
talking about,
I
right.
would hope that they're gonna,
I wondered about
Kinda
that
curious.
too.
No way.
yeah.
I'll have to check.
It's
the
strange that
plans.
they skipped it though, but
Very,
yeah, I would really hope.
I saw that too, yeah.
That's the start of our new bike park.
Yeah, right. It's just a ramp.
Launch ramp. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It's gonna be a blue slope instead
I
of
tried
green
it
slope.
out the
Don't
other
do
day
that
and it's
during the
really
7:30
nice.
a.m. traffic, please.
Smooth,
Don't.
and it's really safe, I mean, it makes you feel good.
Yeah, and the exits coming out of Brown, or the Escape Campus, we don't bottom out there anymore.
That's
So I think the farmer's market, all the stuff that feeds into there, I think it's, being well done. So I would hope that they would fix
I'd hate,
the
I'd hate
tectonic
for them
plates
to
that are
like pick up
stacked
and
up
leave
over
and
there.
not. Getting it back would be a pain.
Anything else for future agenda items? All right, hearing none, we will move down to item I, that said administrative reports. Receive reports from staff, may report is the first one. You guys have access to that, so we'll entertain any questions. I'll stall for time as it loads. And it's very fast and it's on its way, and there it is. All right. Animated in there. I'll say it again, if I was buying stock if I could buy stock in the city, I would. Looks really good.
Sure does.
Everything's up and to the right, till we get down to crime. Oh man, I bet water is just, how we doing? Is water okay? I gotta ask, is water okay? Are the wells, okay? I mean, there's just, I drive by and everybody's watering their yard. Are we good?
Yeah, I think so,
We're good? Okay, we're
as
good.
far as I know.
We're getting good rain this year.
I was gonna
so
say, my water bill isn't
We've had
as
some-
high as it was last summer so
Yeah.
far because of the rain. So,
Yeah, it does come by every once in a while, but
yeah.
when it gets hot, I mean, it's only a few days before you need to throw it on there, it gets crunchy.
But remember, I think last month she mentioned that water sales were down for us because of all the rain. So she's hoping for a drought. Whereas I'm just happy as a water.
Yeah, we're in the water business around here.
We are in the water business.
If your business is to break even selling water, 'cause that's kind of what we do.
Yeah, so when you look at particularly April and May, here, you can see that we've been flat or lower than the prior year. And so with the growth that we've had, we would anticipate that those water sales would be higher than the prior year. So to say that, I won't say we're down, but we're flat when we would expect a period of growth. So
Sure.
we do hope to see that.
We're not buying
That
water
should go
from
up.
Tyler right now, are we?
No.
Okay.
You'll see about it on Facebook when we do.
There may be a slight change to taste and odor, because it's the difference between using groundwater and surface water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Water quality remains the same. The standards remain the same regardless of what type.
Both are safe, they
Yes.
just taste a little different.
Thoroughly tested.
It is.
It is. Tested by them and then tested by us, I think, yeah.
And an independent third party.
Yeah. TCEQ, by the way. Their sunset got pushed out to 2035, so good times. Previous item, but sorry. All right, anything else in here? Response times, fire? You guys ever fought a house fire that was started by ground lightning?
That was last Friday evening,
Yeah.
yes, Mayor.
You inaugurated the new pumper on that one, didn't you?
We did.
That's
Nice.
the wildest thing I ever heard.
Got up in the attic?
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine what
Yeah,
that means.
yeah.
A bolt of lightning
Well, I
came
tell
down
you
and
what,
hit the kid's
man, it
room.
was touch and go for about 5 minutes. I mean, gee.
Yeah, didn't burn long because these guys were on it.
That's right.
That's right.
It was an interesting storm. I did lose everything in my freezer, just so you know.
Oh,
It's okay.
I donated my generator to you.
Oh, it's okay. I was at my parents' house. I didn't
Oh.
even know till I got home.
Okay.
Totally fine.
That's very kind.
Yeah, it
That
very
was
kind.
very kind.
I'm a nice guy,
Mhm.
sometimes.
Luckily,
Strategically
I had
nice.
somewhere to go.
All right, anything else on the reports you guys want to discuss or ask questions about? Oh, yes. Meals on Wheels, still slinging out foods, that's good. We still don't have an update from the library, I pinged them on that, but I don't see it on
So
here.
they did submit their minutes, Mayor, so I think there may have been some confusion. They did submit some of
Oh.
the past minutes, but I need to get with them on the report.
Gotcha, okay.
Got a question on library meetings. They're not open to the public.
You'd have to ask the library. They do not fall under the same
Right.
public meeting requirements that we have. I don't know what they're.
I think they're private board meetings, I think they are, but they'd be open to anyone attending, I think.
They do submit their minutes to us as part of our partnership.
All right. Anything else in the matter of reports from staff? If not, let's talk about that income. We have a link to that in the packet as well, the income statement. The broad categories of numbers here.
So we have, so wait, this is the budget through May. Okay, so this still has June, July, and August.
Mrs.
Okay.
Black, do you want to show that one? Do you have that one?
So, yeah, really looks like it's gonna be great.
Yep.
And expenses look like they're gonna be great.
Sorry, I thought you were a click away.
No.
My apologies.
That one's a little more detailed, a little harder to show on the screen, so usually.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
There we go.
Let's give us a minute with that. All right, anything else on this? All right. there's nothing else in the administrative reports, we will move into considering executive session. Mrs. Black, I know you were kind of on a crunch to get updated information entering that executive session. Did any of that come in for you?
No, sir.
Okay.
Nothing to discuss.
That being said, nothing to discuss in executive session, so we will skip that. We'll skip K, we'll reconvene, and that takes us down to item L, adjourn. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second
Hello,
that.
Councilman Rosenstein seconds, and with that, the time is 7 o'clock on the dot. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Fast and furious.
Yes, sir.
If I could, everybody got a pen?
Yes, sir.
You gonna show us a magic trick?
I can do that. Show you how to make a budget this year.
Yeah.
So, I met everybody, thanks. I met everybody, I'm your county commissioner. I'm gonna give you my cell number.